Hello, my beautiful creative souls, and welcome back for another video. Today we are doing the decks that I used the most in summer 2023. This video is a little late, but I want to do it anyway, so here we are. Hopefully you can get some inspiration from these decks. I'm not someone who really uses decks seasonally. I always like to preface these types of videos with this. I am someone who uses all of my decks all of the time, but as I go through each season, I do gravitate towards certain decks depending on what I'm working on in my personal life, what kind of colors they might have in them, and what new decks I've gotten, etc., etc. So this isn't going to be a decks for summer. This is decks I used this summer. So if you're looking for strictly like, mermaids and everything, this might not be the video for you. But anyway, let's, without further ado, get into it. I have dog hair in my coffee, such as dog life. I actually have a lot more Oracle decks to share with you than tarot decks. I really got back into, I don't want to say back into because I never left Oracle, but I feel like spring was pretty tarot heavy, so summer was actually very Oracle heavy. And the first one I want to talk about is the Art Magic Oracle, an inspiration deck for creativity by Molly Roberts, who is an amazing art witch here on YouTube. And I'm so glad I got this deck. I'm not going to lie, almost didn't. I kind of just got it to support Molly because I just think it's amazing what she does and I love her channel, so I wanted to be able to do that. But this deck definitely surprised me in a very good way. I'm not usually someone who likes prompt style decks. I don't like affirmation decks. I've had several self-care oracles that I have passed on. I'm just not someone who enjoys using their decks in that way. However, Molly did such an amazing job with this deck. It's split up into different elements, so earth, air, fire, water, and ether. It kind of corresponds to the colors. As you can see, you also have the elemental symbols. And there's a card for each element, but there's also different messages, prompts for within each element. So this one says imagination, right? So if you want to use this deck specifically for creative prompts or to do something creatively, right? You can think, okay, play with my imagination, play with this imagery maybe. Each card has like a different backing, although they all work together, which I appreciate. And then she gives you a little thing. So this says, all things that exist once swim in the cosmic sea of imagination. Exercise your wizardly aptitude for solving problems and incandescent creativity by becoming an excellent custodian of your imagination. Feed it well, give it lots of fresh air, and invite the imaginal to befriend you in your daily life. Prepare to be perpetually amused. So there's things in there that you could take action, right? You could go, okay, this means that I should go feed my well and give myself fresh air. So maybe I go do something that inspires me outside, and that's like the creative action you take from this card. But it also works as a divinatory message, which is how I like to use them, right? Slay perfection. Make a mandala. So even though it says make a mandala, it says invite the golden glow of good fortune into your space with gratitude and robust appreciation. Carefully consider the fullness of all of your blessings and envision radical new streams of prosperity for yourself and the community. Cook up nourishing expressions of comfort and bounty to welcome abundance into your home. So you could do this or take the divinatory message without making a mandala, right? It doesn't just tell you how to make a mandala and why she suggested that, which is how a lot of decks like this come across. So Molly, if you ever watch this for some reason, I highly doubt it, but if you do, I fully commend you for how friggin' amazing this deck is. You did an amazing job. It hits literally all of the purposes that it could hit. The way she put the words together, I mean, it it was a deck that I really, really enjoyed using. I enjoy using it for a quick, you know, what should I focus on today, as well as for more, you know, larger exploratory spreads or even kind of season ahead readings. I've used it for some of those. I've used it for pick a cards. It's an all around amazing oracle, and it blew me away. So that was really, really fun to use this summer. And again, all of these decks I will continue to use regardless of the season. These are just ones that I used a lot during this past summer. So Art Magic Oracle by Molly Roberts. And I will, of course, leave everything linked below that I can. This next deck, if you're looking for a deck to use for the summer vibes, this is a great one just because of how bright the colors are. But again, it's just an amazing deck overall. I really like this as an astrology deck that you can also just use as a regular oracle. So this is Star Code's Astro Oracle. And the imagery and colors on this are amazing. It gives you different astrology terms. Here's the planet Saturn, but it also gives you like the keyword structure. So you can use it like an oracle that way, but you can also use it, you know, if you want to look at the different aspects of your chart and things. That's super fun to do as well. With this, I love the vibrant imagery. I love the art style. I love that. Yeah, I just love it. Period. The end. It has the different houses. Has the planets, it has the astrological signs, it has different aspects of astrology like trines and things like that. So it's a really great deck. It's really bright. I say that as I pull out a bunch of white cards, but it's just, I don't know, something about this feels summery to me. And I like to use it again just for general readings as well as for more astrology specific things. I don't think you can go wrong either way, really. Like, look at, oh, I love all the nature aspects in this. It's very like nature yet ethereal, which is kind of just my aesthetic in general. So maybe that's why I really enjoy it. But really, really great deck. Chiron, the Wounded Healer, Mars. Like, look at the ribbons and like, ugh. It's such a good deck, and I really, really enjoy it. So that is the Star Codes Astro Oracle. Oops, I think was, oh, yeah. I was like, I just saw one that was not Uranus change upside down. Interesting. Upside down and flipped right side up. Change is afoot always in my house. Okay. Next, tried and true favorite. If I could only ever keep one oracle, it would be this one. I really can't tell you why. We just have a thing together. This is the Queen of the Moon Oracle. I hardly ever use the guidebook so much that I don't even remember if it's good or not. But me and this deck just have a thing. We have a great, you know, relationship. It's a very approachable deck for people who are new to getting card reading. So if you get one for the first time from my shop, you'll probably see this deck. It has so many great keywords as well as kind of imagery that you can pull from. It has some not like scary images. It's a little ethereal. I love this one. The trust card in here is my absolute favorite. I don't think I went past it yet, but it's just it's an amazing deck. There are a few cards that I don't like this one. Not really a fan of that, but I mean, that's the same way with every deck, right? Can't get enough of this deck. We have a thing. I love the imagery. I love that this is like the it balloon with patience, resilience, surrender. It's just, I just can't get enough. Beginnings card. I love this with like the snow in the background and you're entering into like the garden. The unexpected. Self-reflection. This is another one of my favorite cards in here. Where is my trust card? Oh, it's right here. So beautiful. I apologize if there's any glare on these. but we're just going to keep moving, and the sun's going to do what it's going to do. And I just friggin' love this deck. So much so that, like, even though I love this deck so much by Stacey DeMarco, I'm, like, hesitant to get any of her other decks because I'm like, can they even compare to the Queen of the Moon Oracle for me? Like, I don't know. Me and this deck just get each other. I love the real imagery mixed with kind of like the very nicely done cosmic fantasy. It doesn't look very clunky. It looks very seamless. Like this person is actually there. And it's real, and it's happening, and it makes you think. I think this beauty card is definitely not one of my... definitely was missing some things. But anyway, Queen of the Moon Oracle, probably my favorite oracle of all time. Just because it's so versatile and speaks so well. So, moving right along to a couple more summary-ish, I guess you could say, decks. This deck, the Oceans of Dreams Mystic Oracle, I used a ton. This is by Danielle Noel. And this one I actually had more of a hard time connecting with. I want to do a comparison video of these two, but I don't know when that's going to come. So I just want to speak about this a little bit now. It would be kind of an unfair comparison, but we're going to do it anyway. So this is the Ocean Dreams Mystic Oracle by Danielle Noel. This deck, you guys, she's luxurious. I love the kind of Egyptian imagery that you have here with the carving and then the lights that look like the chakras with kind of that watery aspect laid over. It comes gilded like this. It's teal with like a tiny bit of a shimmer. It has that velvet touch cardstock, which is not always my favorite because it sticks together a lot. And I find it difficult to shuffle, but it does feel luxurious. This deck is a fantastic deck that has to do with the ocean, but also is very like the depths of you. I love Danielle Noel's art. I don't have many of her tarot decks, but this deck is definitely, in terms of imagery, this has to be my favorite of all the ones she's done. The Starseed Oracle and the Work Your Light Oracle that she did the art for, along with Rebecca Campbell, who did the guidebooks for those. I also really enjoy those as well. But this deck is just, it's a great inner work deck. Like, if you really want to connect with what's going on inside of you, how that relates to the larger cosmos, if you're someone who is into kind of that from source, from a cosmic divine source language and way of receiving messages, then you'll love this deck. As you can see, we have the Akashic Waters here. She also does an amazing job of when there are kind of the ocean nods involved, like healing waters and things. I love the Sacred Vow card. There's different ones that talk about like the ocean and things. She actually does go into it within the guidebook. Shapeshifter. Any deck that has a shapeshifter card, I'm like, yes. The Abyss, again, love it. Convergence, love it. Luminous Path, love it. Literally, I'm just like, love it, love it, love it, love it. This isn't a deck that I use every day, but when I'm in the fields or I need that kind of like cosmic guidance, this is an amazing one. The guidebook is amazing. She'll talk about the keywords associated with it. There's like a little kind of message blurb. Then she'll talk about more of like the concept of the card, whether that be related to the ocean or for the example, this one's Inner Sanctum. It says the inner sanctum is revealed to those who may be at an impasse in life, when they must go inward in order to go onward. This is a solo journey for the seeker alone, as an interlude to clear out any emotional debris that is built up over time. It is a place in which our inner child awaits our return with an open heart. The curtain parts and we are invited to retreat within and rest. And it continues on. And then it gives you kind of a question to ponder. You can journal on this, think about it. And then it gives you like a more grounded kind of message if you want a divinatory message for the card. So that one wasn't really connected to the ocean per se, but it is kind of, because it's connected to the inner ocean, right? Sacred retreat within yourself, within your own waters. So I really, really love this deck. I used it a lot, and will definitely continue to use it. This is the Ocean Dreams, a Mystic Oracle. Now, to unfairly compare, this is the Healing Waters Oracle by Rebecca Campbell and artwork by Katie Lewis. This deck. What do I want to say? I've dripped coffee on the guidebook, so there's that. I edged mine in teal. It comes white. This deck does not feel as connected to the ideas of water as the Ocean Dreams does to me. This feels more like a regular oracle deck that has some clever oracle titles that have to do with water. Most of the imagery is beautiful. I don't want to say that. The imagery is beautiful. There are several cards that are kind of neutral to me. A lot of the images in some of the cards really speak to me. But I feel that overall, the execution of the depth of this deck was not there. I don't know if that was the intention. It kind of felt like it was with everything that Rebecca was sharing about the deck. She really shared that she got inspired to do it by taking her child to different sacred sites where water was used as healing. And that was kind of the inspiration for the deck. And you do see some of that come through in some of the cards. Let me show you the cards while I'm babbling on about this. You do see some of that come out, but I feel that it's a lot more generic than some of her other decks even. A lot of her other decks have a very serious theme. Like it has a very, particular theme. And I felt that that theme came through in all layers. But for some reason, something about this one feels disconnected to me. Like, I don't know what it is. I can't quite put my finger on it. There's a bend in that one. Oops. Of course, I say that, and then I'm looking at it, and I'm like, maybe it's not as, surface level as I felt. This is one of my favorite cards, Let It Rain. This is one of my least favorite cards. Maybe because I'm just not a baby person. Also, we have Atlantis in here, and if you're going to have Atlantis, I don't see why you don't have Lemuria, so that, really kind of was a little weird. Sacred Well, that comes through. So, I don't know, I'm still kind of on the fence about this one. I definitely want to spend time and reconnect with it more. I think I might do some type of draw, just like I did with the, what was that, the Vampyres Oracle? But as of this moment, I don't know, I'm just not feeling the depth of cohesion within it that I was kind of looking for. But it could just also be not the right time, because I got this deck, I think last fall or last spring, maybe. One of the two. Why is this so, bashed up? I keep them on the shelf. It shouldn't be that squished. Makes me a little sad. But anyway. What was I trying to say? Oh, I got this and then didn't really click with it or use it for quite a while. And then once it clicked, it really clicked. So that could happen with this. Who knows? But those are kind of the watery oracles. Next, we'll just finish out with the oracles. Why not? This one is not summary at all, but it's one that I reconnected with quite a bit this summer. This is the Les Vampyres Oracle. I actually, this is one that I had gotten rid of in the past and repurchased. And I think that I'm just in a much better place to use it now. I didn't quite understand when I first got this along my journey, you know, whatever, 10 years ago, however many years ago. I didn't know what shadow work was. I didn't know kind of how to really utilize this deck for her magic. I just was trying to use it as like an everyday draw, which is not really how you use the Les Vampyres Oracle. This is a great deck for shadow work, for looking at the underlying theme of things, to look at points along your evolution, places where you might need to draw a little bit more of your attention, or yeah, it's a really great deck. Of course, it has the Jasmine Beckett Griffith artwork, and the guidebook is by Lucy Cavendish, so it's quite interesting. The guidebook you do have to kind of use, if you are going to use it, as like looking at a couple lines and digesting it that way, because you'll actually notice that as you go through the guidebook, sometimes the message from the vampire in the card and the divinatory message are actually saying the opposite thing, which can be a little confusing if you're trying to like read the whole thing. But when you are in the right space to use this and this deck wants to come out, it is immensely helpful, and I adore the more kind of dark aspects of the artwork, and really kind of resonate with the different animals and things in the cards, and I love the skulls, and yeah, it's just a really good deck. So that's the Les Vampyres Oracle. And then the last oracle that I used this summer is this oracle, which I'm seeing pop up more now because I guess it was in someone's subscription box. But before that, I had not seen this at all. And it had been out for a little while. And I was like, why is no one, you know, why is this not on anybody's radar? So I purchased it in one of the Llewellyn sales. This is put out by Blue Angel. It is pricier. It's $38 US according to this box here. It only has 36 cards, but that's because it's not really meant to use like a regular oracle. This is like a grimoire with an oracle with it, and it's so cool, and the artwork is amazing. This is something that I've been loving using on my altar as kind of a theme for each moon cycle. I switch them out when I feel called to, and they're just so amazing. Again, I love the artwork. It's nature, it's animals, it's people, but it's ethereal, but also grounded. It's literally everything I love. The keywords are pretty great. There's some elements in here. There's definitely, you know, more kind of, it does have that witchy vibes. Like, this is time for play of the Woodland Queen. Like, look at her. She's just amazing. There's one in here about letting things go, which I had on my altar for quite a while. Solar strength. I love seeing kind of the masculine and feminine energy both here within the solar strength. I think that's really amazing. Inner wisdom. I love this stunning crone with the owl. We have a embrace your shadow, light and dark, and there's like a light and a dark version of it, which is really cool. This one, let the past die with the ravens. It's such a beautiful deck, and I'm just so much enjoying pulling a card, using it as kind of the overall energy or message for me, you know, for a couple of weeks. The backs are stunning. Again, there's only 36 cards, but that's okay because you got this crazy guidebook with it. And by crazy, I mean crazy good. So it has the introduction, talks about working with the cards, the wheel of the year, and so on. And then you have a section for each card, but like, let's just pull a card. Ask for forgiveness. Isn't that funny? Because it's the image on everything. So we go to 35, right? Ask for forgiveness. You have a little sentence here to read. You have a whole 2 pages talking about the concept of the card. Then you have practical magic. So these are literally multiple things that you can do within your magical practice that have to do with this. So it's like, here's be brave, talks about being brave. You know, everybody makes mistakes. Takes a great deal of courage to admit your mistakes. Forgiveness flowers. Saying with flowers can be simple, meaningful way to let someone know you're sorry. Here are different flowers that have correspondences to what you're wanting to do with the aspect of forgiveness. And says, make it meaningful. Don't leave it in their court. And the magic of forgiveness with the brain. So this is kind of a weird example to use this on, but you see how it's like, here's this card. Here's the general kind of thinking about forgiveness. And then here's different ways that you can actually like practically work the magic of forgiveness within your life, both with yourself and with others. And it's just, and the fact that they give you 5 different things you can do, not just like 1 or 2, on top of the already amazing description, it just, I'm blown away by this deck. I'm so glad that whoever put this in a subscription box did, because now it's like getting out there. Now I'm seeing videos pop up on it. But like I said, when did this come out? I think it came out early 2022. No, it says 2023. But it definitely came out earlier. Usually when decks come out, there's like a storm, right? Like you see everybody reviewing it. Everybody gets sent the deck. Everybody, you know, does their walkthroughs and blah, blah, blah. And talks about how much they love the artwork and yada, yada, yada. But there were like 3 videos on this deck when I like first picked it up. So amazing deck. Again, it's not really one that you use like an oracle per se, but if you want to take it to a deeper place, to a deeper level, really choose a card to work with the theme for a longer period of time and then work with that in different ways practically within your life, this is 10 out of 10, totally recommend. It's Practical Magic, an Oracle for Everyday Enchantment by Serene Connolly and artwork by Selena Finech. If I mispronounce anybody's name, I'm so sorry. All right, moving on to tarot decks. I might as well get this one right out of the way. It's in literally every deck list. I feel like this is, if you're familiar with Racine from Owl Moon 513, if you're not, I'll try to link her below. Go check her out. She's amazing. But she has a deck that she always talks about, and it's Tarot Vampires. And when I talk about this deck, I feel like her, because she's always like, you know, it's got to be on every list. I'm sure you're sick of hearing about it. Like, it's my ride or die deck. And that's what this is to me. This is the Haunted House Tarot by Sasha Graham. I can't remember who the artwork is by, so I do apologize. The box is literally put away. I never used the box. This lives on my altar. It's very well loved. I shuffle it every day, multiple times a day. Even if I'm using another deck, I will always pull cards from this during like my ritual time at night, which I do right before I go to sleep while my husband kind of does his stuff in the bathroom getting ready for the night and things. And that's usually when I read cards for myself. But yeah, this deck, I don't know what it is. It's not like my favorite artwork ever. although there are many cards, you know, that I do love the different depictions of. I've talked at length about this deck in several videos. I did a tag with this deck. It was like one deck gone wild. I did a video with this deck where I did a Clue-like style video game with it. Not video game. Game. Clue-like style game with it in a video. There we go. Yeah, I don't know what it is about this deck, and whatever guides or deity that I like to work with, they just love this deck, I guess, because this is just like my go-to, like anytime that I gotta communicate with anybody, like this is the deck they want to use. There's something about my soul that's tied to this deck, and I don't know what it is, but it's literally in every video because I'm literally always using it. And it will be interesting to see if that ever changes, or if this is kind of like my ride or die thing, because I'm not really someone who has anything that's like ride or die. I'm very like, I love to hop around. I'm always doing something different. I'm always, you know, claiming that this is like, you know, my forever one and only, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll immediately change once I say that. So it's funny, we have the 8 of Cups here on the bottom. So yeah, we'll see. But for right now, this is my soul deck, and she's in every video. Next in tarot, we have 2 RWS decks, but these are 2 that I just really enjoy using. I actually do not own a regular RWS tarot deck. This is the closest that I get to that, and this is a holographic version. This is by Magic Seer. Great deck. I love the holographic nature of it. I'm not someone who really enjoys the Pamela Coleman Smith artwork. I like having it because I feel like it's very connected to, you know, the energetic library, as one would say, that's connected to the Rider-Waite-Smith system. It's the system that I learned, and while I didn't learn on this deck, it's a great one when you want to come back to basics. Also a great one when I'm doing readings for like people who've never done a reading before, because the imagery is very recognizable. You know, they're like, yes, that's a tarot deck, you know, because this is the one people see most often. It's easy to explain the stories that are happening within the cards. And I love the shiny aspect of it. It just speaks to kind of that more light, summery, spring, summer vibes to me. As you can see, I've used it well because a lot of the shiny's kind of scuffing off. And of course my edges are all yellow and everything, but this is just, I use this literally all year, but it did come out a lot this summer. Isn't that funny? That's back on the bottom. So that is the, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I will leave this specific one linked below. It's by Magic Seer. Next we have this. This is the Rider-Waite, what is this called? This is from an independent store on Etsy. It's like cards something something. Again, I'll leave it linked below because I can't remember. But this is a really fun one because it's all, again, it's all scuffed up because I use it a lot. But this is, it's like black and colorful. Like it's rainbow, but black. I don't know how to describe it, but I just love it. And this cardstock, you guys. This cardstock is amazing. I love the different choices to like what was colored and what was black. So like in this, technically the picture is black and the background is colored. Whereas in other ones, the background's black and the lines are colored. I find this really fun. I love using it in the summer. It's got all those like bright summery vibes, but it also, you know, you can use it any time of year because black. So like, I feel like this is all the seasons rolled into one. Just kind of like the shiny one. And I will use this anytime. But I love this cardstock because it's laminated, but it's flexible. I love decks that are super flexible. Like this, like the Tarot of the Haunted House. This is from Los Scarabeo. The cardstock's super thin. It's not matte, but it's not glossy. The cards are tiny, so my tiny hands can ruffle shuffle them. So I love that experience, but this is like the next best experience. It's a little thicker because the cards are definitely laminated, but it still has that flexibility. They're not very stiff at all. And I really enjoy it. So I'll leave that link below. Not all of her decks have this cardstock though, because I do have 2 other decks from this particular creator, and they're like straight up like plastic laminate. You'll cut your hand if you try to riffle it. But this particular one, I do enjoy the cardstock. 2 more. So next we have the Elemental Wisdom Tarot. This was one that actually, before I got the Tarot of Haunted House, was like my ride or die deck. This is by Tarotteca Studio. I will leave the actual link for this deck below. We won't get into a huge discussion about counterfeit decks here because we could be here all day. But this is one that's often hard to find the authentic deck for. So you have to buy directly from the creator's website. So I'll leave that linked. But this I don't use as much because it has that, again, that velvet touch cardstock to it. I believe that he also has a glossy version, so I might invest in that at some point. But I adore this deck. I don't know why it came back out this summer. I had put it away for a while, but it just did. The cups are all mermaids. The major arcana are a mix of different people. You feel like you're really in some type of movie. This reminds me of when you watch shows like Spartacus, and things like that. I have not watched Game of Thrones, so I can't really say anything about that. But I would imagine like The Witcher, things like that. You feel like you're in that kind of world where it's like fantasy but reality, which I really, really like. I love the different kind of, you have more of like the royals who are like working in the city. It has more of that like Greek Roman Empire feel. Then you have like the mermaids, so you get like that vibe. But then you also have like the more medieval cards. You have like a pirate ship here. You have more of like the tribal feeling cards. It's just a beautiful blending of worlds. The colors are amazing. Again, I love that like it's a fantasy world, but you're like really there. This is an amazing hermit card. It's just a really, really fun deck. It's called the Elemental Wisdom Tarot. There's no guidebook. Tarotteca Studio does amazing decks. None of them have guidebooks. To my understanding, there might be a new one, Slavic Legends, that has might have a guidebook you can purchase, like an ebook, I think, for maybe the majors in that. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I did have their Haunted Mansion Tarot as well, which I recently traded to someone in a deck trade, which is awesome. This is one of my favorite 8 of coins of all time. Kind of the blacksmithing imagery. I also really like that death card. Love the 10. I just really enjoy this deck. And I used it this summer. I feel like I kind of like lost sight of why I was showing you all these decks for a second. I'm like, what's the point of this again? Not that it's pointless, but just like I was like, what am I doing? What video am I filming? So there's that. And then we have our final tarot deck, which I won't speak about a ton because I did a whole 1 month with one deck video on this, where I used this deck for a whole month. I go in depth into how amazing it ended up being, my experience, all the cards that I ended up loving. But I will show you some of the images here. This is the White Numen Sacred Animal Tarot. This was a pleasant surprise for me. I'm pretty obsessed with it. I don't use this all the time. Kind of after my 1 month with the deck, I only pull it out when it's kind of calling to me, but we definitely had a serious bond going on. I just love the images and how they are in line with the RWS system, but they give you a different perspective on them. Like, you can still get the traditional meaning of the card, but it puts another layer onto it, like this tower card here, which I absolutely adore. I love, again, this is a theme in all of my decks, I think. I love all the nature. I love that it's like, you know, fantasy but real life. Maybe not this one so much on the real life aspect, but you definitely get transported into this world and you feel like you're there and you feel like you could be the character or that you understand the character. There's 2 extra cards in here. You have the white Numen and the black Numen, which is kind of like, you know, light and shadow, which I really appreciate. You can see some of the cards have like animal familiar cards. Sorry. Some of the cards have like animal familiars in them, which I really appreciate. And then my favorite card in this deck is the Empress. The High Priestess. I almost said the Empress. She could be the Empress too, but she is just a badass being. I absolutely adore that High Priestess card. So, really great deck. I'll leave that video linked for you if you'd like to check it out. But that is kind of a roundup on the decks that I used the most this summer. Now, again, I could put probably most of my collection on this table because I use all of my decks all of the time. And when I say that, I'm not exaggerating. Like, I literally... I love having choice, and I love picking up a deck that suits my mood, and I don't like putting rules on myself of like, oh, this is a specific deck for this season. I just use my intuition. I go with the flow, and I use what I use, and what I don't, I try to trade or pass on. And yeah, that's those are the decks that I used the most this summer. I hope that you enjoyed that. Let me know if there were any decks we had in common. I would love, that would be super fun. Let me know, were there any that piqued your interest, any you're putting on your wish list, any ones that you would rival my opinions on. Just let me know. I love chatting with you in the comments below. If I ever mention anything that I forget to link and you want the link for it, please let me know and I will get that for you. But I try my best to jot that all down while I edit and kind of remember to put those in. But, you know, I am human and shit happens. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me today. I know it's super valuable and it means a lot that you would spend it with me. I look forward to chatting with you in the comments, and I will see you guys in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.